I was never supposed to be on that road. Not that night, not at that hour, not in that frame of mind. But grief doesn't care about timing or direction. It just pushes you like a current until you're somewhere you don't recognize anymore. My name's Daniel Grady, 36 years old, automotive engineer, divorced. 2 months ago, my younger sister Emily died in a car accident. They said she was texting. I know she wasn't. She hated texting while driving. Ever since our cousin died doing that 5 years ago, she'd leave her phone in the glove box, always. She was the kind of person who'd rather pull over to answer a call than risk it. But the coroner's report said her car hit the guardrail doing 70. No skid marks, no attempt to brake. She just drove into the railing and vanished off the side of the mountain. Closed casket. I wasn't even allowed to see her. I couldn't accept it, so I started driving. I'd never been west of Kansas. My plan was vague. Go somewhere quiet, maybe the Rockies. Emily had always wanted to see them. I figured I'd go there for both of us. That night, I had just passed through a little Colorado town called Millbridge. Population maybe 200. It was nearly midnight, and the sky had that murky purple-black hue you only get in the middle of nowhere. My GPS had been glitching for hours. First it froze, then it kept recalculating even though I was on the only highway for miles. Eventually, it just went blank. I pulled over and stared at the screen. Then I turned the device off and looked around. That's when I saw the side road. No name, no sign, just a gravel trail winding between two massive pines. And I swear to you, this part still haunts me. It felt like the trees were leaning away from that road, like they didn't want to touch it. I told myself it was probably just a scenic shortcut. I didn't want to backtrack 30 miles for a gas station I might have missed, so I turned onto it. I don't know how long I was driving. My dashboard clock started acting up, first blinking, then stuck at 12:17. My phone was dead. I hadn't seen another car in over an hour. Not even a light in the woods, just dense pine forest and fog creeping in from somewhere unseen. I started getting this pressure in my chest. Not fear exactly, more like anticipation. Like when you're in line for something dangerous and you can't turn back. Skydiving maybe, a confession, something final. Then I saw the sign, old, hand-carved, hanging crooked between two wooden posts that looked like they hadn't been touched in decades. Welcome to Graywick, founded 1843, still home. That was it. No population count, no slogan, just still home. I slowed down, my headlights casting shadows that seemed to bend the wrong way. The town opened up before me like a page in an old book. Rows of neat little houses, symmetrical lawns, perfect white fences. But no lights were on, not a single porch lamp, not one car parked anywhere, no sound. And yet the place didn't look abandoned. No broken windows, no overgrowth. Everything was kept. Like someone had just mowed the lawns and swept the porches, and then decided to disappear. I pulled into the first open area I found, an empty gas station with old school analog pumps and a faded awning that said simply, Marvin's. I parked, left the engine running, and that's when I saw movement. Someone standing across the street, still as a statue. It was a girl, maybe 10 years old, long dark hair, pale skin, dressed like a paper doll from the 1950s, white socks, shiny shoes, a blue dress with a ribbon in the middle. She didn't move when I waved, didn't speak, just stared. I rolled down the window. Hey, you okay? No answer. Is there a hotel around here? Or a police station? She blinked once, slowly, then turned around and walked down the sidewalk, disappearing behind the corner of the post office. I should have driven away right then, but I didn't, because I saw something else. The movie theater. You ever see something from another era just perfectly preserved? Like a museum exhibit that shouldn't be real? The Graywick Rialto stood in the middle of Main Street. Black letters on the marquee simply read, "Tonight only, home showing." It was lit up. Not the street, not the diner next door, not even the gas station I had just parked in. But the theater glowed warm yellow, like a hearth in the middle of all that emptiness. And I stepped out of my truck. Don't ask me why. Curiosity, loneliness, something deeper maybe. It felt like the town was waiting. The sidewalk was cold beneath my boots. The air smelled faintly of ozone and burnt popcorn. As I approached the theater, the double doors opened on their own. Inside, the past waited. Red velvet carpet, gold trim, a candy counter with unopened boxes of milk duds and raisinets stacked neatly behind glass. There was no dust, not even a single cobweb. The whole place was silent, except for a projector already whirring inside. And there in the middle row sat the girl, same blue dress, hands folded on her lap. She didn't turn around when I entered, didn't acknowledge me at all. On screen was a black and white film, grainy, shaky, like it had been shot on a handheld camera. At first I thought it was just an old home movie. A man walking down a road, a diner, a gas station, but then I realized it was me. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence. Maybe I looked like the guy in the film. Maybe I wanted to see myself. Grief does weird things to your brain. But then the camera on screen panned up, slowly. And there was the exact same girl, sitting in the exact same seat I was staring at in that moment. And I was there too, on screen, behind her, wearing the same clothes I had on, jacket, jeans. That tear on my left sleeve from catching it on the truck door earlier. There was no mistaking it. This wasn't a recording. This was a mirror. I stepped back, hard enough that my heel clipped the step and I nearly tripped. The girl turned her head just slightly and said, without looking at me, "Don't follow the film too far." Her voice was soft, clipped, British maybe, or something older than that. I didn't know what she meant, not yet. But then the projector clicked loudly. The film skipped, and the next scene was darker, colder. The footage now showed me inside the diner, sitting at a booth staring ahead, coffee steaming in front of me, my hands flat on the table. Except, I hadn't done that, not yet. I hadn't been inside the diner. But there I was, on screen, looking terrified, and then I spoke. Only, the film had no audio. Just my mouth moving. I tried to read my own lips. It was hard. The grain was thick. The light flickered, but I caught fragments. I said, "It's not a place, it's a pattern." Then, they're watching from the mirrors. And then something huge moved behind me, just a silhouette, like a man-shaped figure 10 feet tall, gliding across the back of the diner. I slammed the projection room door shut behind me and ran. I don't remember reaching the street. Only the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The lights in the theater shut off as I exited. The glow was gone. I looked down the street. Now, the diner was lit. Flickering neon. Corey's Grill in buzzing pink letters above a front window streaked with condensation. I wanted to leave. Every part of me screamed, "Run!" But my truck was gone. I swear to you, I parked it across the street from the gas station. Now it wasn't there. Not totaled. Not moved, just gone, like it had never existed. The diner door swung open as I approached, as if on cue. Inside, it was warm. A man stood behind the counter polishing a glass. Mid-50s, short hair, apron, paper hat. He didn't blink when I walked in. "You're late," he said. I opened my mouth, didn't know what to say. He nodded at a booth in the corner. "Coffee's waiting." "I didn't order," I started, but he cut me off. "It's always waiting." I looked. The booth from the film, steam rising from the same chipped ceramic cup. And I recognized the song playing faintly through the speakers overhead. It was Unchained Melody, my sister's favorite song. My knees went weak. I sat. "I'm dreaming," I whispered. The man didn't respond. He just wiped the counter slowly, rhythmically, like a wind-up toy. I stared at the coffee. I didn't want to touch it. Every instinct screamed not to. Then I looked out the window and saw it. A car driving by. Dented blue Ford Taurus. Same woman in the driver's seat. Same terrified face. I saw her 3 more times over the next 5 minutes. Each time the car passed at the exact same speed. Angsta each time she looked more exhausted. Her skin paler, her eyes wider. And then, on the 4th pass, she slammed her hands on the inside of the glass and screamed silently. Then the car vanished around the corner, didn't come back. "She's been here longer than you," the man behind the counter said, without turning around. I turned to him. What the hell is this place? He stopped wiping, slowly turned. Graywick, he said plainly. Still home. I stood up. Is this some kind of dream? Am I dead? The man smiled, a thin, slow, unnatural smile. If only it were that simple. He pointed to the cup. You have to drink eventually, he said. Everyone does. I turned and left. The bell above the door rang, like a funeral chime, behind me. Outside, the sky was darker than it should have been. Starless, thick. The air felt like velvet soaked in ice water. And now the houses on the street all had their porch lights on, in perfect unison. Every bulb flicked on as I stepped out of the diner, one after another. Pop, 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 like the town had seen me. I looked down and noticed something else. My shadow was moving the wrong way. The light was behind me, but my shadow stretched toward the diner. Then it twitched, like it was pulling against something, like it didn't want to be part of me anymore. That was the first time I tried to run. I sprinted toward the gas station. Maybe I missed my truck. Maybe someone towed it. Maybe I was losing my mind and none of this was real. But halfway across the street, the fog rolled in. Thick, yellow-gray, stinking like mold and burning copper. I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me. I stopped, turned around, and the diner was gone. Not just dark, gone, like it had never existed. Only now the buildings around me were different. Twisted, warped, storefronts with names I couldn't read. Brick turned to wood, turned to rusted iron, like the town had rearranged. That's when I knew this place wasn't a dream. It wasn't purgatory. It was alive. The return loop. I wandered Graywick streets until I didn't know where I'd started. The buildings shifted behind me when I wasn't looking. I tested it, turned around quickly, and the sign that had said florist now said foundry. A door I swore was red became blue. There were no street names, no stars, just rows of houses and businesses that didn't follow the laws of architecture or memory. I was trapped in a town with no end and no beginning. And then I saw my sister. She was standing in the middle of the street, wearing the hoodie she'd borrowed from me months ago. Her face was blank, but I knew her. Every detail, every freckle. Emily, I whispered. She didn't answer. I took a step forward and she turned. Her mouth moved. She didn't say my name. She said, Daniel, don't drink the coffee. And then she shattered, like glass, into thousands of pieces. No scream, no collapse, just gone. I don't remember falling, but I woke up back in the diner booth. Same coffee, same music. The man behind the counter was gone. In his place was the little girl. She climbed onto the stool behind the counter and watched me. You stayed too long, she said. The loops get tighter. I shook my head. What is this place? Why me? She tilted her head. It's not about you. It never was. You just fit. Fit what? The hole. She gestured out the window. They're watching again. I looked. The street was full. Hundreds of people now, all staring into the windows, all motionless. Their eyes glowing faint red in the fog. One of them was me. I ran out of the diner, down streets that bent like paper. I saw my house from when I was a kid. I saw the hospital where Emily was born. I saw a version of my apartment that had been burned out. Graywick wasn't just a town, it was a mirror of everything I'd tried to forget. And at the center of it all, the clock tower. I didn't notice it until then, but it had been there the whole time. Dark, towering, a huge black spire made of rusted iron and broken windows. The hands on the clock didn't move. The bell didn't ring. But something called me toward it. Inside, I climbed 200 steps without resting. No fatigue, no burning lungs, just compulsion. And at the top, there was a room full of mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of me. Sleeping, crying, laughing, screaming. One showed me holding my sister's lifeless body. Another showed me driving off a cliff. Another showed me, right now, staring at the mirror from inside the clock tower. Then the mirrors began to crack, one by one, until only one remained. It showed the diner. Me, smiling, lifting the coffee and drinking it. I screamed and punched the mirror, but it didn't break. Instead, the reflection smiled wider. And in my hand, there it was, the coffee cup, warm, full, smelling like roasted beans and ash. I don't know when I picked it up. Maybe I never put it down. Maybe I never left that booth. The ending you don't want. I'm home now, or at least it looks like home, but I know Graywick came with me. Every mirror in my house shows me doing something different than what I'm actually doing. My reflection blinks at the wrong time, smiles too long, and every night I hear the bell of the clock tower. Even though there's no clock tower here, I found a coffee cup on my bedside table this morning. It was warm. I didn't make any coffee. And today I got a package in the mail. No return address, inside a VHS tape labeled home showing. I don't have a VCR, but I swear when I held the tape to my ear, I heard my sister whisper, "You drank it, didn't you?" If you're ever driving through northern Colorado and you find yourself on a road that doesn't exist on your GPS, and you see a sign that says, "Welcome to Graywick, still home," don't wave at the girl, don't follow the film, don't look into the mirrors, and above all else, don't drink the coffee.